So I've got the WNBA power rankings right here now, and this is from like 2 days ago, and I think the person who made this power rankings, if I'm not mistaken, tweeted out basically today confirming what they said, and for their number one, which is kind of crazy. Like, but again, this is the person who made this list is again one of those. It does appear to be one of the anti-Caitlin Clark people, which is obviously the headliner, Aaliyah Boston powering Indiana Fever. Let's be real, like, as much as my titles will be, like, to be fair, look, your titles may not show the whole thing. My titles might be Caitlin Clark's Fever, when in reality, this is the Big Four's Fever. This is a Big Four, and I think on any given game, any of those four can be the best player on the floor. So, Commissioner's Cup, not, even though the Lynx are getting killed tonight, aren't they? I think the Lynx are getting killed. Oh no, sorry, the Lynx. Wait, were the Lynx not way down? So the Lynx beat the Mercury, it seems. I don't know why. Why did I think the Lynx were way down? No, maybe the Lynx were way up against the Mercury. But so it says here, the Aces at 8-6 or 9-6 now, I think, are the number one ranked team. Chelsea Gray had 1 point, 1 assist, and 3 turnovers in the last game, but was a team high plus 19. Chelsea Gray makes this team function. As much as I was like, you know what, Kate Martin's really important, Chelsea Gray makes this team function. Chelsea Gray makes the rest of the players play better, and it takes 2 players off. It takes 2 players out of the position they don't really want. It means Kelsey Plum doesn't have to attempt to play the 1. It means Jackie Young doesn't have to play the 1. It allows Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young to play better, and it also allows Asia Wilson to play better. So I still think it is a bit crazy to say this team is right now favorites over the Liberty. I don't hate that one. I don't hate it. But like Chelsea Gray's clearly not right. The Connecticut Sun. I know the Liberty, I think, lost to the Mercury. But the Mercury can beat anyone on any given day. Especially with Kalia Copper. Like, they've already beat the Aces twice. Or they beat the Aces twice. They've definitely beat the Aces once. But the Connecticut Sun remains second. They're the best defensive team in the league. And they're one of those teams where it's like, pick your poison. They have Alyssa Thomas, who is probably the best, so far this year, being the best playmaker. Like, again, Chelsea Gray healthy is probably the best point guard. And if you were talking about playmakers in the league, I think Alyssa Thomas is probably the best, followed by, if we're not talking about, like, what Chelsea Gray is at her best, like Chelsea Gray right now, it's probably Alyssa Thomas 1, Natasha, or like, I don't know, is it like Cloud maybe 2, and you've got Caitlin Clark 3 maybe, as far as pure point guys, but they don't really exist. But this team looks really good. Dawana Bonner at near 37 is looking really, really good. Deshaunay Carrington, Indiana go offer the max. See if they'll match it. And if they do match it, immediately offer Bree Jones the max. Bree Jones could well be an all-star. So it's going to be interesting. So the Minnesota Lynx at 3. They're good. Minnesota are a good team. You've got Nafisa Collier. You've got who could well win MVP. And the Lynx lost to the Aces once and comfortably beat the Aces the second time. But 12-3 record, like, they're doing really well. And again, they're in the Commissioner's Cup final against, are they also 12-3 to Liberty? But, no, Liberty are 13-3. What? How did they fall? How did they lose one game? How did they lose one game and fall from first to fourth? It was fun while it lasted, but the New York Liberty are a very good team, continue to be a top contender this season. Who did they play? Whoever they played today, they absolutely destroyed. I know they lost that one game. Who was it they played today? I need to find my who is it? They played. Actually, maybe they didn't destroy the Sparks. It was only a 10-point game. But, like, I'm looking at the box score right here. Breanna Stewart had 33. Sabrina Ionescu had 24 and 10. Like, this is a team that is now, and like, they just comfortably beat them. Vandersloot, who it says here returned to competition reconditioning, so she might be coming back. Sabally, not the better Sabally, but the other one, like, isn't that, I don't think it's a major injury. And Lainey Hamilton was out. So they're winning games without their players. Like, Fibic is a rookie. Like, I know she's an older rookie. She's not that old, is she? No, she's 24 years old. Is a rookie in her first year and is now playing 30 minutes a game and giving you some, like, decent output. This team, there's no way. There's no way they're the fourth best team in the WNBA. I'm sorry. They're the second. If you want to put Aces 1, fine, but they're number 2. Good to very good. Tier 2, Seattle Storm. Previous rank 4. The Storm have been struggling a little bit. And again, just like most of their wins are against sub 500 teams. At the same time, you get into the playoffs by beating the bad teams in this league. And they beat the Aces, who are in disarray, and they did beat the Sun. They beat the Sun? I could have swore. Oh, they must have been the Sun's second lost. Sans, Brittany Griner, Mercury, not the Sun. But the Mercury were not good before Brittany Griner came back. The Phoenix Mercury 8 and 7, previous rank 6. I still think Griner's been exceptionally good this year, and Kalia Copper is unbelievable. Like, Kalia Copper is genuinely like one of the better players in this league, one of the best scorers in this league, without question. And I think that with Copper in there, they could become like I'm like, oh, they should be better than 6th because they have a chance, but I also like the Storm. I really don't know. I think, like, any of these top 6 teams, like, the gap between the Mercury and I'm guessing you're probably going to have at 7 the Fever? Because I think the Fever are better than the Dream. The gap between the Mercury and the Fever is bigger than the gap between the Mercury and the Aces, in my opinion. Unless you have the Dream at 7. At 7, they have got the Fever at 7 and 10. Now, yeah, it is 7 and 10. So obviously this is recent enough then. This is recent enough. So the Fever on a 4-game win streak and have won 5 of their last 6 games. The only loss was against the Sun. And that was the weirdest game ever. Like, they just gave up. They seemed to give up at the start of the game. If the season were to end today, they would make the playoffs. That's a tremendous turnaround for a team who started off season 2 and 9. They were also 1 and 8, which is a worse record. Aside from much needed 5-day layoff at the beginning of June, a more reasonable schedule, the emergence of Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark duo. Cool. You're doing what I did. You're there. Aaliyah Boston is leading this team. Cool. I'll just, for views, I'll say Caitlin Clark, even though Aaliyah Boston's been exceptional. They look so good. The Fever have involved Aaliyah Boston in the offense more. I don't necessarily think they've been evolving her more. I think they've been evolving her better. Like, her touches aren't really changing. Her shots aren't changing. She's just getting the ball in a position to succeed a bit more. And I think this is just the team figuring each other out. I think players are being put in a position to succeed more as well. And I think it's not like it would, like, you're not doing justice to what Kelsey Mitchell and Alyssa Smith are doing as well. I think the rest of the team, at times, sometimes they play well, sometimes they play bad. But I think the big four in all their wins have realistically all played well. Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. Caitlin Clark has great floor vision. She's finding Aaliyah in her spot, and the Fever have much better because of it. Even though they're still 3 games below 500, their recent play is moving them up 4 spots in this week's rankings. Wow, who were they? Previous rank 11th. Oh, it is probably the Mystics. Were garbage. Wait, does it say this week's rankings? There's no way a week ago you had them below the Dallas Wings. There's no way a week ago you had them below the Wings. Number 8. I'd put the Mystics at 8. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think the Mystics are that bad. The Atlanta Dream 6 and 8. If the Fever win their next game, they go into the 7th seed. That's crazy. The Dream are not good. Like, 2 games below 500. Their biggest loss season is Ryan Howard. So Ryan Howard is hurt. Like, she might be back she probably will be back for the Olympics. She might not be. like on a scooter. That's not a good sign. That's really not a good sign. Like, this team's going to be bad. This team's going to be real bad. Like, I want to see what their fixtures are. Like, what type of games they're playing, because this is a team that could spiral downwards. Like, they could really spiral downwards, and they're not a terrible team either. Ryan Howard's exceptional, but like, their next, oh my god, no, they play the Liberty, the Sun. Like, their next 3 games are the Liberty, the Sun, the Liberty. So they're losing their next 3 games. Like, they're going 6-11. That's not good. But then they do face the Sky, who I still think they have a shot against, even without Ryan Howard. They probably won't win, but they have a shot. Then they face the Aces, but then the last 2 games before the Olympics, they play the Storm and the Lynx. They're probably losing them. Like, the best case scenario is that they win 2 more games before the Olympics. But then, obviously, after the Wings, they play the Sun. They play the Sky twice, is it? Yeah, they play the Sky twice. I think they're going to really struggle. I think this team is not going to make the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if these drop out and both the Sky and the Fever make it. But yeah, I think it's hard to put them at 8. If you're going to put the Aces at 1 because of 1 game with an 8-6 record, I think you got to move the Atlanta Dream lower, because they will struggle. They will be struggling. Potentially good, the Fever, or say the Sky. The Sky dropped 1 spot this week after a 4-game losing streak. They finally got back on track with a win over the Wings. The Wings have to be bottom, trust me. With their win on Thursday, it was encouraging. It was the 2nd game with a new starting lineup, which now includes Kennedy Carter and Lindsay Allen. And they moved Dana Evans and Diamond DeShields to the bench. I don't love the Kennedy Carter in the starting lineup. Kennedy Carter's been brilliant, but I don't like her in the starting lineup because, like, it is just, she's so good off the bench. Like, they've been getting off to a better start, but Kennedy Carter got tired early against Indiana. Like, unless they're going to build an 8 or 10 point lead, I think she's better off the bench. As great as she is, I still think she's better off the bench. Unless Dana Evans giving you a lot off the bench. Reese is tied with Hamby for 2nd in rebounds. Reese is going to lead the league in rebounds. More than likely. She's been exceptional. But I still think they just don't have enough. They have no real offensive firepower outside of Mabry and Kennedy Carter. And Mabry is extremely inconsistent, and Kennedy Carter tires out of games. I think 8's probably fair, but I would have, or 9's probably fair, but I might even have them 8. It's between them and the Mystics for 8, but I would have Ryan Howard's, I would have the Dream at 10. I have the Dream down here. The Dallas Wings, how are the Dallas Wings 10th? They haven't won a game since May the 26th. Yeah, you know what? They're 3-12 right now. There isn't much more that can be said about this team that hasn't already been said. Sabali's not expected to return since after the Olympic break. Neither is they've also lost Segrist. Like, how do you have a historically bad team at 10? They're garbage. The Wings remain tier 3 because with Sabali they're a much better team, and without her they've been competitive in most of their games. What? They've been competitive in most of their games. They lost to the Mystics by 30. If we're talking about Sabali who's could be out for the season, why not build the Mystics up and say, you know what, Deladon might come back. She's not. We all know she's not coming back, but she might come back. So let's put them into tier 1 for all we care. The Los Angeles Sparks, previous ranked 9 and 11. The Sparks on a 4-game losing streak. Cameron Brink's injured. I mean, they're way better than the Wings. That's all I can say. How are the Mystics last? I'm sorry. How are the Mystics last? If you're watching the games, they were always going to struggle without Elena Deladon this season. I mean, the Wings would always struggle without Satu Sabali, but you apparently don't care about that one. But injuries to Shakira Austin and Brittany Sykes are too much for them to overcome. Like, they're going to come back, and they're still fine. How are they? That's why they have the worst record. In a week, they won't. They didn't start off the year 3-2 and go on a 10-game losing streak. How were the Dallas Wings 10th? I don't even mind the top 6, to be honest, but I would get the dream out of the top 8. I think by Olympic break, Fever more than likely, because I think the Sky have a decent enough run into the Olympic break compared anyway to the Fever. I think the Fever aren't too bad after the Olympic break, but I would say you're going to look at one of the Fever or the Sky in that 7th seed, the other in the 8th seed. I think the 9th seed is probably going to be that Atlanta Dream, but tumbling. I think 10 is probably going to be one of the Sparks or the Mystics. Possibly the Mystics, if I'm being honest. Possibly the Mystics in that 10. I think 11 is going to be the Sparks, and I think Dallas might not win a game for the rest of the year until the injuries. Let's be real. Till the Olympics, they might not win another game.